I do think Kang ties importantly into space and time leading up to magic and science. I think it's a 1-2 punch, and I think they still need to land that first punch with Kang, so I think recasting makes more sense than going like, it's Doom. Like, I just don't know how you do that.
Welcome back to the Breakroom. I'm Brandon Barrick. Who cares? Joining me today, we got Coy Jandreau.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And we got Tommy Bechtold.
It's your boy Big Sauce, and you know what they say about Big Sauce? Big noodle.
It's true. He's a real man, Akati. Hey,
Rigatoni.
Variety published an article written by Tatiana Siegel, ominously titled "Crisis at Marvel: Jonathan Majors' backup plans, the Marvels reshoots, reviving original Avengers, and more issues revealed."
You know, if Tamora Morrison from Australia or New Zealand got in trouble, the headline should be "Crisis on Infinite Perths."
This feels so familiar.
Crisis on Infinite Christchurches?
Deja vu.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Now, this article covers a lot of ground. As you know, we do these videos live here on Twitch. Make sure you catch yesterday's video if you haven't already about Marvel's ambitious slate and if they need to revive the original Avengers. I think we came to the conclusion that they're going to do it, but they don't need to.
Yeah.
They don't need to. Let's get into our topic right now. Kang.
Kang a fool.
Marvel executives have a yearly retreat in Palm Springs.
That's good for them.
Adorable.
Pleasant.
Do you think they all go to the pool at the same time?
They go to the Ace Hotel. They do drag queen bingo.
But this year, they discussed at length what to do about Jonathan Majors' Kang character. With Majors heading to trial for domestic violence charges, there has been no shortage of public speculation about recasting. Boy, do these kids on the internet love to talk about it. Siegel notes in their article, he has been, quote, positioned as the franchise's next big thing in the season of Loki, particularly with the finale, which airs on November 9th and sets up Kang as the titular star of a fourth Avengers film in 2026. I mean, not a scoop when that film was titled Avengers Kang Dynasty.
No kidding. Can I read this quote?
Yes, please.
The article has a quote in it that I think is really special. Marvel is truly fucked with the whole Kang angle. They haven't had an opportunity to rewrite until very recently because of the WGA strike. I don't see a path forward to how they move. I don't see a path to how they move forward with him. They're truly fucked.
Tommy added that last truly fucked. But well worth. Again, that quote was given on background. No source for the quote. Yeah, we can all imagine.
I hope it was a background actor.
Yeah, just someone on Loki finale.
I played one of the ants on Ant-Man.
He's fucked!
They're fucked. I could tell on set there was bad vibes.
Poor Brian bleeping all these fucked. I think no. John just threw something at
John
us.
threw something?
Could be a language violation. John's in here just producing.
Hey, John, come back. John, come back.
Oh, it's working.
You're fucked!
Oh, he's throwing more.
John, throw candy at us.
I think he is.
So there was also a line in this. Oh, jeez. If you break my Barbie cup.
Lights, John. We can't see.
This is dangerous.
Ooh, they're Sour Patch watermelon.
Wait, he's handing out candy
What a
Bechtold
delightful
style.
He's whipping out these fast
Little
balls.
Sour Patch Kids.
Evan, gather them for us. Oh, yummy.
This is going to be terrible for continuity
Oh,
in the
man,
video.
and the sound.
All right, so
here we go.
It's
Okay.
easy to chop a gum in your mouth.
So there was also a line in this article about how Marvel executives were thinking about recasting Majors after Quantumania underperformed.
Yeah, because that was his fault.
Again, well, and there was, this wasn't in this particular article, but it was reported that, I believe this was in Joanna Robinson's book about the MCU, that they were kind of surprised at the bad feedback they got on Quantumania. They did talk about in this article that like after the premiere that they had in Westwood, California, at the Fox Theater, there were like people walking out being like, that looked bad, right? Like kind of commenting on the rushed VFX. Again, this was a movie, Quantumania was a movie that got bumped around as like the Marvels was moving around and other movies were moving around. Blade was moving around, Deadpool 3. They kind of were just like moving Quantumania around. They had to rush to get it finished.
Yeah.
And it was like kind of a mess,
Yeah.
people said, like the graphics didn't look great, a lot of problems. So all this is to say that the gathering in Palm Springs, executives discussed backup plans, including pivoting to another comic book adversary like Doctor Doom. We've talked about that a lot. I mean, that's something we've talked about. They got a Fantastic Four movie coming out before Kang Dynasty and like Secret Wars.
They should have made them meet in Barstow because things were going bad.
Yeah, right.
Like, we're not going to Palm
got
Springs.
demoted.
Yeah.
Like,
We're
we
going
don't
to that
go
railroad.
This year, kids, we're in Yucaipa.
We're going to the train-themed McDonald's in Barstow. Hey, real quick. I want you to watch this. I'm going to do your son next.
John, this is your fault. John, if you're watching
Look at me.
This is your fault.
Look at me. I am your god. Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, they've got a Fantastic Four movie coming. We've speculated they could easily slip in Doom. Now, they got a movie coming out called Kang Dynasty. But again, they've changed titles of movies before. Serpent Society was the original title of Civil War. You know, not hard to change the name of a movie that's 3 years away at this point. Has a director attached, Dustin Daniel Critton, but doesn't have a script as far as we know. They're probably working on it, you know, that kind of stuff. But you can easily pivot away from Kang. You could also recast Kang if you needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's weird that nobody's considering that you just changed the post-credit scene to the movie that isn't doing so well. Like, Quantumania, making him a Nexus being, obviously, we have the events of Loki, which we haven't seen the finale of.
Sure.
We have the events of, obviously, Quantumania that keep him as 3 different Kangs. But if you're playing around with the moment we have watched up to, spoilers for episode 4 of Loki, there is a clear opportunity to say, like, oh, because of this event, it rewrote some stuff. And then, to me, recasting, if that is what's necessary, seems a lot cleaner than changing if you had a 10-year plan involving Kang. Because I do think that Doctor Doom is obviously integral to Secret Wars. That's the comic storyline. That's a lot of the canon that we know. Fantastic Four, obviously, those elements. But I do think Kang ties importantly into space and time leading up to magic and science. I think we're building up to villains that involve space and time on one hand and time and magic on the other. I think it's a 1-2 punch, and I think they still need to land that first punch with Kang. So if you need to move Kang around, I think recasting makes more sense than going like, it's Doom. Like, I just don't know how you do that.
Nobody cared that they changed Grindelwald from Johnny Depp to Mads Mikkelsen.
And not back to Colin Farrell. It was right there.
They were just like, this movie's terrible. They didn't care that the recasting happened.
I will never forgive them.
But these recasts happen, and I think audiences will get past that if you give them a good movie, right? They don't care. At the end
I think that's the main point, right? The story has to be good and engaging. The movie has to give you all those feelings that a good Marvel movie gives you. And if they execute that, then they're fine. Yeah. And if they continue to kind of put out convoluted things that people leave confused, they're in trouble. Well, you know who's not in trouble?
Who?
You, Brandon,
Why
because
is that?
you're wearing a T-shirt from Nerd Riot.
Oh, I'm okay.
You look incredible in your nerdriot.shop. I awoke last night in my spooky lab.
You can't do the Halloween
I
songs
found
anymore.
a T-shirt sitting in my lap. I draped it over my perfect breasts, and quite adorning upon my chest there was a shirt.
There was a flirkin' shirt.
A flirkin' shirt. It ain't no jerkin' shirt.
Oh my gosh. That's right. This is a new shirt we have coming out to honor the Marvels. These are some beautiful flirkins. Yeah. We got Kat Mala Khan. We've got Carol Danvers. We've got Meownica Rambo. Check them out now. And there's also a back to the shirt.
Oh, God. What if the back?
There it is.
What if the back was just a terrible political opinion Brandon had that he was going to share? These shirts are available, and also our sweet,
Lots of Loki
Loki shirts.
Good Loki merch.
Available at the nerdriot.shop. We have an Obi shirt that says, "We're all gonna die. You're gonna die."
We might not be done with our Loki shirts yet. Maybe another one coming. Another surprise Loki shirt.
Oh, is it spaghetti?
I don't know.
Is
it's just a shirt of spaghetti.
Is it Victor's Spaghetti Shop?
It's just a shirt of spaghetti.
Spaghetti Warehouse, now featuring more Victor Timely.
Yeah.
Guys, grabbing a tee from nerdriot.shop, isn't it just a great way to show your friends you've got immaculate riz?
It's true.
It's also a great way to support the Breakroom. So either click on the link in the description or head on over to our easy breezy website address, nerdriot.shop. It rolls off the tongue, nerdriot.shop, or just click the link for those of you that are not able to type letters because your fingers were blown off in a 4th of July firework accident.
Did you guys have anything else you wanted to say about about Dr. Doom or Jonathan Majors?
Here's
Well,
what I'll say
they've
about.
already cast Doom. It's Martin Freeman. He played Everett K. Ross, so we're good.
If you want to pivot to Doom because the story works better, then please do that. You know, if you got a better story to tell with Doom, if you want to put Doom and Kang together, do that.
Also, I think, briefly, I do think the multiversal stuff has been convoluted because of a mix of factors,
Yes.
including the strike leading up to the strike, which was the in-house, which was people
Right.
going like, this is too much work.
Right.
Then the actual strike, not to mention the pandemic, all those things. I do think we heard there was kind of a rule of we always need content out, whether it's a movie or a show.
Mm-hmm.
They always wanted to have something. I think the multiverse could have worked if they'd kept it contained,
Yeah.
ironically, considering it's a multiverse, but I think spreading it out so thin has been an issue for the average consumer. So we talked the last episode about the Marvel name and the brand and whether it needed the Avengers to come back. I think as long as we go back to a linear through line, a linear plot, I think that Secret Wars / Kang Dynasty will do that and consolidate,
Yeah.
and we'll get back on the straight and narrow. I think that's what they should focus on more than anything, is getting one path back.
Thank you.
And that's what I think you use Secret Wars to clean it up.
Yeah.
There's a canon event to make it all work, and then just once it's clean, I think people will come back to it, because personally I think this is the best worst case scenario for Marvel. They've had everything bad possible happen, including like this week, Shang-Chi's in Achilles surgery. Like, what are the chances they're most prevalent martial artist? Like, it's crazy.
right. Yeah.
So it's just one thing after another. I think the best thing they can do with all of this bad is take this time, actually assess, recalibrate, and then look to when they were at their strongest, which was the straight through line.
Yeah.
So use your story, use the convolutedness. I think set each of these as different multiverses to mess with continuity, then dive forward straight. So I think a recast might be the answer, but I think no matter what, as long as they get one path again, we're good.
Yeah. I mean, like, just do me a favor. Put some fucking dates at the beginning of the movie. Tell me it's October 2026 so I know what's going on.
There's a book.
That's the other annoying thing that they do, and they've been doing, is like, we don't know when these shows and movies are taking place. They sometimes are coy about it. Jay Washington thinks like all these movies are different multiverses. If that's the case,
I think some are.
If that's the case, they should have been. But you got to do it up front. You
I
can't
think
be
it's
like,
supposed to be like, whoa.
oh, that was confusing. We'll explain it in 6 years. Like, no, that's not
what
fun.
I think was too ambitious.
Yeah. I don't know. Get it together. And it's clear that they don't have someone doing that because you have issues like the Statue of Liberty being
Or the
wrong
Spider-Man
color.
thing where they're like, we shouldn't have said it.
Yes, it's just like a mess. Well, that's like a Sony Marvel.
But still, that means there's
but
no
a mess.
overseeing
Yes.
date person.
Yes, that's the problem. Okay, let's talk about the Marvels, folks.
I can't wait.
Let's talk about the Marvels.
Yes.
It's tracking to open right now at $75 to $80 million for the weekend. For comparison, Captain Marvel opened to $153 million domestically. That was in between Infinity War and Endgame, and people were told it was important to go see it, so they did. Tracking can be weird. Tracking can be off. They were off with the tracking for a lot of movies this year.
FNAF was supposed to be a bomb.
Right, and they tracked, the Eras tour came in under what they thought it would, and things like that. It happens. Tracking's not perfect, and we shouldn't go by it. They kind of go by pre-ticket sales and like buzz and all that good stuff.
It's hard to have buzz.
It's hard to have buzz, and tracking is weird right now too because you can't have your stars out.
Doesn't mean there's no way to have buzz without press.
Especially when one of your stars is a teenager. And most teenagers communicate online and through social, and they cannot
do anything.
Promote, and it would be a strong thing. The author of this article, Siegel, notes that the director, Nia DaCosta, moved to London to work on another film with Tessa Thompson called Hedda, while post-production was still being completed on the Marvels. That's a pretty wild move.
Yeah.
Doesn't usually happen. That mainly happened because there was like 4 weeks of reshoots for the Marvels, and they also moved around when it was supposed to come out. It was supposed to come out last summer, and they pushed it to November.
It's so crazy to think about.
They put out Haunted Mansion, which we all loved. Lastly, Siegel writes that the Marvels was, quote, plagued with lengthy reshoots, like I said. The article notes that the addition of Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan resulted in 4 weeks of reshoots to bring coherence to a tangled storyline. Kind of like there wasn't originally going to be them in this sequel movie, right? And finally, in June, Marvel, which traditionally only solicits feedback from Disney employees and their friends and families, took the uncharacteristic step of holding a public test screening in Texas. And there, the audience gave the film middling reviews.
Ooh.
It's been a weird lead up to this movie. Nia DaCosta, the director, has described the movie as wacky, which we all thought was like an interesting word to use for it. The marketing has been a little interesting. A lot of Beastie Boys song.
Yeah.
They put out like a fun fight sequence clip this week.
Yeah.
It was great. and looked entertaining and looked like a lot of fun. I'm fine with a fun movie. Let's do it. They don't all have to be serious and dour. I mean, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is heavy movie.
Yes.
Tough to get through. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, for other different reasons,
No Way
is
Home
a
is heavy.
very heavy movie.
Right.
They've had a lot
to
of
get through. No Way Home is a very heavy movie.
Yeah.
Give me something
Thor:
like
Love and Thunder
yeah.
was devastating.
Devastatingly heavy. Yeah, what do you think about the Marvels?
I think I'm excited for the Marvels. I like those characters. I think that I think them all working first, figuring out how to work together, then working together is going to be a really interesting team up. And we haven't really had like a great random team up. You know, we have the Guardians of the
Like a
Galaxy.
Thor Ragnarok,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. So I'm excited about that. Just based on the quotes and what we were talking about, I feel like there's a pressure from the directors and like leaders of these Marvel projects to insist that their Marvel thing is going to break the mold of traditional Marvel stuff.
Sure.
And I just feel like that antagonizes the already very, very sensitive Marvel fan base. Like She-Hulk, they did a ton of press where they were like, what we're trying to do is basically just make Kevin Feige as mad as possible. And you're like, okay. For me, I can be entertained by that thought. For like my 13-year-old cousins, they're gonna, or like, you know, my 18-year-old, like they're gonna be enraged by it. They're like, why are you taking the thing we like and trying to purposely make it different? Now, I think you have to make things different, shake it up. I just feel like whoever is in their media team that keeps like having these interviews where they're like, this is like Marvel, but not good or like wacky or whatever. It's like it just feels like you kneecap the movie before it even gets a chance to stand on its own legs. And that's nothing against Nita Costa. I just don't.
Right.
I just think it's like, I don't know, guys. Get a PR person to write some messaging for you.
Well,
know,
and
like,
Marvel is famously, you know, puts their thumb on the scale with these movies.
Right.
It is like tells you what has to be in it.
Right.
You know, gives you a script where they've been doing the previs on the third act battle already,
I think
and you
that's why
have to
she
lead
felt
to this
comfortable
point.
leaving. I think that's. I honestly, when I heard like
Yeah.
she left, I was like, well, it sounds like they took over the movie's control.
Right.
So like,
and you
I
have
think-
like artists who've stepped away from their movies because they're like, you know, they're on my,
Right.
they keep butting their noses
and
into
if
my
that
movie.
was the system at the time, I don't begrudge her.
Right.
And it sounds
No,
like going forward, that won't be the system.
Right.
It sounds like with the WGA rules and stipulations, now we have a showrunner for Daredevil. Now we have a new system. I think this course correction is amazing, but I do think we need to stop, as you're saying, the optics behind some of these quotes are crazy. I'm glad it wasn't described as dark or gritty, because that was an
Right.
exhausting
Yeah,
term.
yeah.
Wacky is at least not used as often.
but
I
I
would
think
rather-
wacky makes you think like,
It
oh,
diminishes
this
it.
movie is not important.
It,
to
yeah,
see.
belittles it. But I
Yeah.
think that she should have. I mean, I would have loved to heard about directing style or about like, you know, she uses the camera so beautifully. Nita Costa's Candyman is so visually stunning. But I don't think that catches headlines. My concern is that you only use buzzwords when you're trying to catch a headline, so it's talked about. And Marvel is always seeking the headlines. And because of the strike, you have a director versus the charm of Aman Vellani versus the, you know, Tiana Paris is able to navigate so many things when she was doing press that it has a different like joie de vivre in describing the movie. So I worry that without the trio, the triumvirate of the three of them, it has to be on a director who won't be able to describe things in a way that would get headlines.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the Marvel's fault, but I do think that Marvel is in a tricky spot because of the timing with the Marvels.
And I'm guilty of the problem, right? I'm bringing up this like wacky quote when I'm
We have
sure
to.
she's given hundreds of quotes about this movie, and that's all I'm talking about. And like,
Well,
maybe-
but that's what. But
That's what rose to the news,
Then it
like,
did
yes.
its job, right? Like that was the point of.
But I'm
the thing.
also a little tired of like all these directors just describing their Marvel movies as very different.
Yeah.
They all
Right.
look the same. They all,
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I think
there's
that is.
little
That's also the
pastiches
problem.
here.
Yeah.
Like Guardians feels different.
That is the problem. Is like only when they do stray far away do we end up with something like Secret Invasion, where we're all kind of left going like, "Hey, yeah, you also said that you didn't care about the comics, and that was evident. Like, that was very evident."
Evan?
All due respect to my dear friend Ali Salem, who had a great time talking to me, as evidenced by our
Insert the interview clips right now.
the sparks flying in our interview.
One quick interesting detail from this article. Blade has gone through many changes with the creative teams. At least 5 writers that we know of, 2 directors, 1 shut
Do you
down.
think a vampire is taking them down?
Maybe they're, I mean, if Marshall Ali is like really leaning into the character,
Ooh, gun method.
he's day walking on.
Yeah, I like that.
And they shut down production for 6 weeks at one
6 weeks
point.
before production.
Or 6 weeks before production.
Yeah.
They had put out like background actor casting
Yeah,
notices.
that's
and
what's
they're
crazy. That's such
just kidding. So at some point, okay, this is like the weirdest quote of this article. Okay, again, on background, we don't know who said this, but someone said, quote, someone said that the story was, quote, morphed into a narrative led by women and filled with life lessons.
Good.
Blade was relegated to the fourth lead, a bizarre idea considering that the studio had two-time Oscar winner Mahershala Ali on board. Seigel notes that, quote, Ali was ready to exit over script issues, end quote, and now Feige has brought in the Oscar-nominated writer of Logan, Michael Green. And to quote the article, speculation around town is that the studio is looking to make the film, now slated for 2025, on a budget of less than $100 million.
Oh.
A deviation from Marvel's big spending strategy. What do we think about all this?
I think they should give Blade the money they give other movies,
Right.
for one, because they're gonna. I mean, it should look as good. Like, I don't know.
But I don't think that movie equals the movie looks, or the money does not equal movie looks good.
Oh, it's more in advertising and promotion.
Well,
or
but that's
salaries?
often separate budgets, right? When they say if they say a movie, usually the marketing budget is the same budget as the movie.
Yeah, but I mean, are they going to pay the effects artists a fair wage?
Maybe they're saying they won't have computer effects. It'll just be blood
It's all-
bags
it's all
and a
gonna
dude
be
with a
practical.
hose.
I mean, I say too, like, look what Blumhouse does, man. You make
Right.
a contained
Yes.
movie, and then your profit is bigger because you need to. If you make a $100 million movie, you advertise for $100 million. You need to make 200 to break even. Versus this insane $280 million got to break a $500 million, because that was another quote. Like, they got to clear $500 million.
Right.
To be
And
comfy.
if you're spending money on making a movie and then you're doing 4 weeks of reshoots,
Right.
Yeah.
you're not doing enough planning ahead of time.
I think plan ahead and make Blade a grittier,
Yeah.
there's the word, but smaller budget, like horror film. I think the first ones, like, they weren't giant tentpole budgets.
No.
The beauty of Blade is you can make a vampire movie out
Right.
of it.
I think the timing of this article and this section of this article is so unfortunate given the South Park episode that just came out, where the whole premise was like, all Disney wants to do is make these movies like entirely female. Like, it's like, you have Blade, a character that has exclusively been, well, maybe I'm wrong, some comic geek will correct me, has been most oftenly portrayed as a black man who is a vampire.
His daughter's in the comics now. She's great.
Is her name
yeah, but I don't
No,
even...
no, she's
Blade,
not Little Blade. She's
Baby Blade?
Lady Blade.
Lady Blade. Lady
don't-
Blade's actually a great name.
But that quote is, again, no one would fess up and say it was them.
Yeah, I kinda feel like that
I
quote
don't
might
believe
be
that
fake.
was real at all.
I think
I
it
don't
was
think...
another writer, one of the writers that didn't.
Doesn't that quote seem like it's meant to infuriate
Right,
people
I don't
and
think
create
yes,
this
that
situation?
seems like something just meant to stir up like angry men on the internet.
Let's
Yeah.
not take the bait, but hear me out.
Right.
Let's not take
Because
the
like
bait.
I don't believe that Marvel would be like, we're making a Blade movie. Blade's gonna be in it for 15
It's going to be
minutes.
about a lot of life. It's like Jaws.
Right.
Show the shark, you cowards. No,
Now the original Blade, the whole trilogy, a lot of it dealt with his mother, right? So you could say
right.
like that was a big part of it, you know.
well, I hope there are some life lessons, because when I go see Blade, I don't go there to see an action movie about a day-walking vampire.
There better not be
I
any
go
blood
there.
waves.
I go there to learn about myself. Guys, quick pivot. What if Blade was white? No, just kidding. We would never do that. That's a horrible idea. Keep Blade the way he is. Make him the star of the film, guys. It's called Blade. If not, call it something else. Call it like Girl
Blade
Boss,
Blade.
A Blade Tale, right? Wouldn't that be fine?
Sure.
Girl Boss,
I'll say
Blade
sure
Origins?
to that.
Yeah, agree to that.
There's no way they canceled
Brandon,
this
when
movie.
you and I were going to Washington on January 6th,
Yeah.
what did I say to you in the car? You either go white with Blade or you
Okay.
make it a female-driven film.
That's right. That's what you demanded.
Yeah.
That is what you demanded.
And that was before we started our construction on our swing.
There's no way they canceled this movie either, because you can't like cancel this movie. No, Evan, I refuse to wrap this
We're
up.
not ending, Evan.
Evan leaves the studio and it just fails.
All
Leave
right,
us
I mean,
on those devices.
Dashiell has the power to end the stream whenever.
that's true.
I didn't think we were on the air when I suggested Blade should be white. I thought we had ended the stream. I was on the phone with my buddy Nerdrotic, and we both agreed that there should be no women in Blade.
We invite you to check out this Variety article for yourself. Read through it. Say what you think in the comments below. Are we crazy? Are they crazy? Is everyone crazy? Are we all just worrying too much? Should we just go outside and be alive?
Touch
for
a little
second?
grass.
Yeah.
Smoke a little grass.
No?
Grab a little
Oh,
ass.
okay.
Speak a little sass.
But we're all interested to see what comes next. They'll figure it out. Life goes on. There will always be movies and TV shows.
Sign up for a class.
Sign up for a class. That's it for us
Slap a
today.
little bass.
That's it for us today here on The Breakroom. Make sure to subscribe to The Breakroom channel on YouTube. Thanks to Coy and Tommy for being here. Give us a follow on Twitch where we do these videos live. at Breakroom NR on Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter, or X.
I have a great time on X. I love talking to all my friends on X and reposting and posting. It's great.
That's it for us today. We'll check you next time. Latest Gators. Goodbye.
Bye.